Entry 42. I take great pride in my research and discoveries. Few men are labeled a genius in their own time, but nothing compares to my pride in my boys. And they both graduated summa cum laude, and in record time, no less. They'll have their doctorates in no time. It seems my passions for archaeology and robotics are split between them, but I guess that's what makes them chips of the old block. I cannot wait to see what boons they bring to the world. Entry 162. I can't believe how much time has passed. It feels like yesterday I was celebrating my boys becoming men, and now I am a grandfather. Her name is and she is perfect in every way. She brings a smile to everyone's face, and everyone falls in love with her the moment they lay eyes on her. If nothing else, she is my legacy. Everything I do from this day forward, I do for her. Entry 170. I deciphered the engravings on a series of ancient rings I found on a previous dig in the jungle and discovered the existence of an island in the which floats high above the sea. According to these rings, the island is the home of an ancient and sacred power called the If these engravings are to be believed, this has the power to control the For such a place to exist, I can only hope that it is never found, or is only a myth. I shudder to think what would happen if it fell into the wrong hands. Entry 185. I am about to embark on the most ambitious project of my life. The Earth's first orbital space colony will be the 9th wonder of the world. It will be a place of science, researching all manner of ways to improve our home below. Seeing as it is a vessel meant to preserve life amid the harshness of space, I have christened it the Ark. It shall be a vessel to pass on the value of life and peace to the next generation. And while most of the megastructure will be hidden within the base planetoid, I may have gone a little self-indulgent in the design. The only real concern is the source of the funding. While the United Federation supports us, most of the financing is coming from I have no illusions about what they want, but I'm building the Ark to preserve life, not end it. While I have my concerns, I am a genius, so I'm sure I'll figure something out when the time comes. Entry 389. Life aboard the Ark has been exciting for good and for ill. As a positive, we've had the good fortune of obtaining one of the legendary, and extremely elusive, it is truly a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for us to use one of these in our research. Legends say that the are the cause of our Earth and becoming linked, and preliminary testing has confirmed some effect on space-time. The possibilities are beyond imagination. If these can connect Earth and then what other worlds and dimensions could we discover if we continue our studies? Worlds where their technology outpaces our own. People we can forge friendships with for the betterment of both our worlds. Perhaps even the power to shape reality itself. Unfortunately, is already making moves to do just that, but in all the wrong ways. Their desire for weapons research is becoming increasingly overt and decreasingly polite. I used my clout to get a direct line to the president to ask him to intervene. He said he would, but then he asked me for something equally obscene. He wants me to discover a means to immortality. I aim to improve life, not perverse it. Everything gives way to entropy. The concept is laughable, as intangible as a shadow, as incorporeal as sound. I refused outright. In retrospect, perhaps I could have been more diplomatic about it. I find myself on edge. Political pressures aside, I'm told is sick with no clear diagnosis. I wish I could look into it myself, but I'm needed aboard the Ark. Hopefully, this will pass and she'll recover soon. She is too precious to let suffer. Entry 402. I have received a most interesting specimen from the warehouse. It was first recovered by my son, who has become quite the archaeologist. I believe it to be some sort of puppet or robot made by an ancient people. Perhaps the same ancient that had once resided in the jungle. At first, my interest was mere curiosity at the prospect of learning more about the displaced civilization. However, during tests on it began to move. This confirms the connection between the and the ancient, as well as their ability to harness the power of the for their civilization. I have since gone back to my previous findings on the ancient that had first appeared during the and have found evidence that this robot may not have been the only one of its kind. To add to that, it may be responsible for some atrocities that I dare not speak of. I will refrain from passing judgment for now, but if this is truly the case, then I shall need to take steps to ensure that it cannot be used for this purpose again. Entry 428. It has been a trying time, to say the least. Was diagnosed with neuroimmunodeficiency syndrome. There is no cure. Yet. I pulled some strings and had her brought to the Ark for treatment and assessment. The low-gravity environment and high standard for hygiene and healthcare should help keep her symptoms manageable. Her family has been less than enthusiastic about my decision. Despite everything, she remains the most positive person in the room. Most of the staff here left their families back on Earth, so I worried she'd be lonely. Instead, she became the adoptive daughter of every researcher on the Ark. Moreover, she's become like a big sister to little the Ark's happy little accident over the last few years. The President keeps prompting me with his quest to unlock the mysteries of life. Perhaps with his funding and clout, I can find a way to cure while chasing shadows and echoes. Entry 515. Has dropped all pretense and is demanding weapons research in exchange for continued funding. I promised the President I'd begin work on Project S&S, but even he can't get them to back down. It appears I have a gun to my head on the matter. Ho ho. Years ago, I discovered records of an ancient god of destruction called Chaos. It was said to command the fury and force of the ocean, or something to that effect. I've begun developing a basic AI-driven apparatus that can generate cohesion in water and produce controlled shapes for basic actions. I've told Top Brass these can turn any body of water into an autonomous weapon. Deep down, I'm hoping it can be used as easily deployed search and rescue units. Imagine a flood turned back on itself to aid those in the rubble. Entry 530. Research into Project S&S is in full swing. The first step has been learning how to siphon energy and apply it to living tissue. To that end, I've developed the Chaos Drives. Direct application seems too harsh. Any organism that could directly interface with an would be fearsome indeed. The initial tests were promising, so we're now moving on to the next stage in trials. I'll be using salamanders for their regenerative abilities and manageable size. We will begin applying chaos drives to test the subjects and see how the vitals respond. And to keep from breathing down my neck, I'm supplying them with chaos drives as batteries for their mechanized division. I loathe powering engines of war, but sacrifices have to be made if I'm to save. I'll figure something out in the long run. I am a genius after all. Entry 568. Project S&S has reached an impasse. The subject exhibits accelerated cellular growth to the point it cannot support its own biological systems. I've developed an external life support system to compensate, but it will need to be upgraded and redesigned as the subject continues to grow. The way it thrashes and roars, it is uncontrollable. Furthermore, it is generating unexplained energy reactions. Is this an expression of the power? Can a living thing produce such energy? Can it be controlled? There are too many questions, and unfortunately, the answers lie in the biolizard's life. I will keep it alive and as comfortable as I can until I have the answers I need. I found a region in the Ark that should be able to safely house it while we continue our experiments. My only concern now is... She was not supposed to be in the lab when it happened, but now she has borne witness to what the salamander she'd booped on the nose and called cute has become. I can tell she blames herself. Entry 589. Is growing into a lovely young woman. It breaks my heart that someone as bright and energetic as her is diminished by disease. There are no visible effects, and I've caught my fellow researchers muttering to each other, doubting her illness. It is infuriating. I find my reason and restraint vanishes when she is slighted. And yet, she remains an unending font of positivity and compassion. Even on her worst days, when the fear and pain take hold, she tells me she endures for the day when she can return home. The day when can be laid to rest. She has total faith that Project S&S will save her and without the need for further sacrifices. Her family back on Earth has no such faith. It has been so long. Some of the researchers actually think she was born here. Her family either wants her better or wants her home. I can do neither. Somehow, their scorn is harsher than the government or the military's increasing pressure for more weapons research. Entry 616. Desperate times call for desperate measures, and I am a desperate man. The Black Comet returned to Earth on its 50-year orbit. I had no idea it actually harbored. Aboard it was a Somehow he knew about the and seemed impressed with my work. He offered me a Faustian deal. I accepted. Using his DNA, I have been able to overcome every hurdle Project S&S had put before me. Perhaps there was no need for me to be so cautious in its utilization. Or perhaps this will be even better. The two small, sturdy bipeds I developed can interact with energy with no ill effects. However, it appears that the one that more closely resembles is more able to resonate with it compared to the blue one. Wanted me to craft a herald for his future invasion. Wants Project S&S to generate undying soldiers for them. I will play them both for fools. Entry 620. When I launched Project S&S, initially I named it with scorn and mockery. I was trying to grab hold of an intangible goal. Later, what the initials stood for sounded appropriately villainous as I was toying with the fundamentals of life itself. But then, I looked upon the unfinished specimens and put things into a whole new perspective. A shadow tells you which way to go to find the light, and without sound, you can't have a voice. In an instant, she cut through all my pessimism and doubt and filled me with hope. and, as she's come to call them, will not be two dark creatures, but champions of life and hope. I would not have seen that if not for she is truly a remarkable person who can do great and wondrous things for the world. I must save her. Entry 633. I now understand why this being was named Gizoid. In the ancient tongue, it means everything. According to the stone tablet, if the Gizoid establishes a link with someone, the Gizoid will swear loyalty to that person. Perhaps it still lacks energy, but has been saying the word link to me in broken tones. It went on to explain, "Show me your true strength, and I shall obey. I am all things, and all shall belong to me." So, as it suggested, I brought it before my collection of model guns and fired all of them. Then, suddenly it said, "I shall follow your every command and never leave your side." And since then, it refuses to listen to anyone but me. While it still is a fearsome weapon of destruction, while it remains under my control, at least it won't be used for evil. However, if someone with evil intentions ever forms a link with the Gizoid, I don't even want to think about what will happen. I must research how one can re-establish a link with the Gizoid. Entry 640. The upper echelon is going crazy. Perhaps they aim to freeze Project S&S. Soon, the embodiment of power and the embodiment of potential and will be completed. The application to my granddaughter will also be imminent. I cannot just let them stop my study at this point, because I am the only one who can save my granddaughter's life. However, I am worried. Is not developing as fast as his counterpart. Is it due to his lack of power? Is there some kind of recessive gene that causes developmental delay that I'd unknowingly passed on to him? I can only pray that he reaches completion before decides to shut the project down. I do not think could take it if another life was lost in the pursuit of her cure. Entry 642. The higher-ups are threatening to shut down this research facility. I had no choice but to hand them the Gizoid to buy time for my research. I tried to be careful and command it to never absorb any dangerous technologies. However, I have heard that other researchers have been making the Gizoid absorb weapons. Apparently, the way to cause the Gizoid to form a new link is to show it power that surpasses that of its former master. While this poses immense danger, I cannot risk losing. Entry 650. The top brass are not satisfied. The Gizoid isn't big enough or flashy enough for them. Fine. I've developed a weapon I'm calling the... It taps directly into the Ark's central reactor to produce an unethical degree of firepower. They'll love it. However, to use it on any target on Earth would destroy the world. They'll never be able to fire it. Checkmate. It will, however, be the perfect tool to deal with the when they return. Eclipse means shadow, and echo is a reverberating sound like a sonic boom. This is and canon. My gift to them in a battle they never asked for. I am so sorry. Entry 651. Doesn't know the full scope of what and have been designed for, but she understands they will be under tremendous strain. She's helped me conceptualize a number of accessories that will help focus their power and aid their mobility. This is mostly precautionary measures for as he doesn't have the same raw power of his brother, but his own genetic makeup should give him the potential to become even greater than his more naturally powerful sibling. I only hope he'll have the chance to use them. I am also researching chaos control to see if I can gain an understanding of it before can awaken. The power to stop time and space is incredible, and I don't want them to have to try and learn its intricacies on their own. Deep down, I know this progress is superficial, tangential at best. The larger issue remains the president, my family. I've gleaned there is a rift growing between my sons. My love for them shouldn't be a divisive issue. I'm running out of time. Entry 665. Has awakened. At last I can breathe easy about one of the brothers. I pre-programmed a great deal of data into his mind, but his ability to parse it out and apply it to his situation is remarkable. All of his vitals are strong, and there seems to be no sign of instability or mutation. He stands in stark contrast to the monster we have sealed below deck. Now all that is left is... Every day I grow more worried for him, wondering why his development is taking so long. Also seems to be worried for his now little brother. He has taken to sitting by pod, as if acting as a guard. He only allows myself and to come anywhere near. I am considering using the to accelerate his growth, but what if that causes him to turn out like the bio-lizard? But if he doesn't awaken soon, I fear he never will. Entry 667. I overheard talking today. Was beginning to doubt his little brother will ever wake up. She is trying to keep him hopeful, but I can tell she too is beginning to worry. I have no choice. Entry. The energy held within has, resulting in major energy, have begun opening all over. The has fallen through. We may never see it. Entry 670. Has finally awoken. I have never seen such a look of pure joy and relief on face. Much to my relief, has no signs of instability or mutation either. However, he does have a variation that I had not been anticipating. He is able to run at incredible speeds. Whether this is the cause of his delayed development, or the result of the extra energy that I'd attempted to use to stimulate his growth, I cannot say. However, it does mean that he will no longer be needing the jet boots that had designed for him. Thankfully, she was not upset by this. Rather, she was quite excited to design a new pair of shoes for him. Ones that can repair themselves and withstand the speeds at which he is capable of going. Also seems to be quite different from in terms of mentality. Not that he is unintelligent, not at all, but his mind seems to work in a way that is unusual. I suspect he may be neurodivergent, specifically ADHD. He will squirm in his seat whenever we have the little lessons that suggested we do in order to teach the boys about Earth customs. He becomes distracted so easily whenever it comes to homework, and yet he can figure out how to dismantle a toaster and reassemble it in a way that, when it toasts bread, the toasted parts will read, "I am an egghead," and do it so flawlessly there is zero chance of anyone getting hurt, all for the sake of a prank. The mind of a neurodivergent teenager. But all the success of physical and mental prowess comes second to their relationship with I had hoped that they would get along, but I never anticipated this. During the months that lay silent within his pod, had become a constant comfort for and now that is finally among us, she has taken the both of them completely under her wing. She may not say it out loud, but I can see it in her eyes. The same shine that her mother had once had when she'd looked at her. She truly sees as her children. I suppose it makes sense. She's watched them grow within their pods. She's worried for their health and their safety. Isn't that what a mother does? Entry 672. I have received news that is both joyful and worrying. Back on Earth, Nina's parents have been blessed with another little girl. They've already run tests and she has none of the genetic markers linked to the condition. While this was welcome news, the unspoken commentary was received loud and clear. I must get my family back. You are the key to it all. Entry 675. Has made friends with. I cannot honestly say I'm surprised. He takes after his mother so very much. So bright and cheerful and full of hope and wonder. I had begun to worry that the young boy would only come to fear having only encountered the latter while was within his pod. Perhaps I should have called the embodiment of friendship. Ho ho! Entry 680? 706? My worst fears have come true. The Gizoid has absorbed enough weaponry and technology that it has started to go out of control. The resulting rampage resulted in the destruction of most of the Ark. I have deciphered the rest of the stone tablet. It says, when the Gizoid had learned all that it could, it became a god of wrath and all was destroyed. The researchers somehow managed to subdue the Gizoid and sealed it away. Luckily, it only had residual energy from the that we lost. If it were to have an actual emerald installed, let alone all 7, it might destroy the whole planet. The Gizoid is too much of a liability. I tried destroying its core, but nothing I did worked. I understand too little of the technology that built it. My best hope is to try and reprogram its AI into a free-willed, emotion-based AI. Entry... I've lost track of the days. Not very scientific of me. I'm strained. Something has to... The Gizoid's rampage caused the artificial chaos to behave erratically. I attempted to regain network control by inverting the polarity of the... Instead, they became violent. One raced across the Ark, pacifying them quite expertly and rescuing who'd gotten caught in the middle. But the damage is done. An SOS was sent to automatically. I dread the litigious reprimanding I'll have to endure next. Entry. I found his name among those who died when the Ark was shut down. She meant everything to me. I can't bear the thought that she died because of my research. I lost everything. I have nothing more to live for. I can feel my mind fraying and tearing. All I can hear in my mind are these intrusive thoughts ping-ponging between thoughts of my great-grandchildren and avenging was recovered by... I don't quite remember what they asked me to do to him, but I'm positive that what I did is something I can never be forgiven for. I have heard that is still missing. Good. I pray they never find him. They have stolen my granddaughter from me, forced me to perverse the mind of one of my great-grandchildren. If they demand that I do the same to the boy that is so like his mother, I fear what I may do.